Hello again. I'm MichaelCthulhu.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Hey boys and girls, welcome back to PJT Forging and welcome to part 2 of this Making a Gift for MichaelCthulhu series. So, picking up where we left off from part 1, like I said at the end of that episode, I've mostly been spending my time doing cleanup and redoing certain things. It became apparent fairly early on that where I'd only tack welded on each strand of the beard, the tack welds were not enough to hold it on and I could literally just snap them off with my fingers. So I ended up removing all of them and giving the whole thing a good cleanup. The actual thickness of the material I used for the face was only about 1.5 mm thick, and that coupled with the fact I'd stretched the material meant that in places the material was even thinner. This made me very paranoid when it came to the welding because I was trying my hardest not to blow holes through the material, so I thought initially that tack welding was the best approach. However, like I say, that didn't hold up, so what I've been doing instead is trying to run very small beads either side of each strand of the beard. Now it's very messy, but it is now holding and it's much stronger than it was. As you're going to see, and as I mentioned multiple times throughout this video, I am no welder, I make no claims to be, and I'm putting it down to a bit of a write-off. So you might find the beginning of this video has a bit of a negative undertone. But that's okay, because like I say, I know my limitations, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, so I'm just going to make do with what I've got. So all of that out of the way, let's get on with it. Alright, so here's where I'm up to with the cleanup. As you can see, the chin and jaw, it's not perfect, but I've got it as clean as I need to. It doesn't need to be spotless, because obviously I'm going to be welding beard back on, hopefully more successfully. What I've mainly been spending my time doing is clearing up this right eye. I've got it to a much better condition than it was, but it's by no means perfect. I'm afraid my welding ability is not that of Michael's, so this is as best I can really do. But I'm sure he can always do a bit of cleanup if he wishes to. Now, working on the other eye, I've decided to go for a bit of a different tact. I decided to do a very messy botch weld on the inside first. When I was welding the other eye, I was constantly blowing holes in the sides, just where there was either small gaps or the material was thin from being stretched. So I'm hoping by putting a layer of weld underneath, when I weld around this side, I'm going to have a much easier time and blow a lot less holes through the material. That's the idea anyway, but I'm going to get back to you when it's done. This side, all in all, took at least 2 hours to clean up to the extent you see it. I'm a terrible welder. Well, I spent a lot less time on this eye than I did on the other one, and to be honest, the results are not that different, so I think I'm going to cut my losses and move on. I'll stick to my strengths, which are the design and the forging side of things, and I think the welding I'm going to put down to a bit of a loss. It's been good practice, but yeah, I mean, again, I am not a welder. I need more hands. Okay. Well, we are starting to get there. I need to finish off the beard and fix the moustache. As you can see, he's had a bit of a slip with the razor. Oh, who am I kidding? Mike doesn't shave. I need to get the beard sorted before I start attaching the respirator, as I need to figure out where the tubes are going to go. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it here for the day, as I'm starting to hurt myself as I'm getting tired, which is always a good time to stop. This may not be that bad in the grand scheme of things, but it's becoming a real issue trying to unlock my phone. Maybe I should leave this to cool down a bit. Take two. So a while ago, Mike posted a video on his channel for one of his charity micro builds, which was for his headphones, or ear defenders, whatever you want to call them. Now I'm going to try and replicate them as closely as I can, but on one side he's got a dial. Now in terms of forging, making a dial, it seems like a lot of effort for not a lot of payoff, but I figured it would be quite a good spot for me to place my touch mark. So what I'm doing now is I'm laser printing onto the nail polished piece of steel you saw me cleaning up in the workshop. I'm then going to electrochemical etch it, and then I'm going to drill a hole in the side of one of the headphones, and I'm going to be welding that in place there. It's kind of out of the way, but still clearly visible. I figure that's fair. There we go, just give me a minute to clear that up a bit more. Now I've just got to figure out how to attach that thing. So, as you can hopefully tell, I've started working on the second layer of the beard. Once again, the welding looks absolutely awful. Yes, I know I keep going on about that, and there is a reason for it. It's so that you don't have to. I'll show you the end result once I've finished putting the pieces on. I've got to leave this gap here in order to allow space for the respirator. But I think overall that's starting to look alright. Once I've given this thing a bit of a clean-up, hopefully it will somewhat resemble Mike. Now, for the goggles, I think I'm going to weld some rims on, and I've been toying with the idea of making them see-through using some mesh. This is a bit of an experimental test piece I did, where I took some mesh and I tried spray painting it red. Unfortunately, as you can see, it didn't really come out very well, it didn't come out very bright. So I've bought some finer mesh and I've bought some brighter paint, and I'm hoping a combination of the two will come up with a better result. So you can see here we've got the original piece. I've then got this one here which is extremely fine, and this one here which is a bit of a middle ground. I'm going to try using this stuff, so hopefully it should come out sort of neon-y red, although I imagine it will darken a little bit. I don't know if using this very fine mesh, the paint may clog it up and make it opaque. So the hope is that you're still going to be able to see out of it, so let's give it a spray and see how it comes out. There we go, there's the medium, there's the fine, and I gave the coarser mesh a spray for good measure as well. So we'll wait until morning and see how those come out. Well, using the smallest tack welds known to man, I managed to get that nose clip to stay on, so happy days. Right, next day, results are in, results are clear. That's the resprayed coarse, that's the medium, and that's the fine. Of all of these, the fine is by far and away the best, and thankfully, you can easily still see through it. So, that's what I'm going to be using. Right, there we go. There's the beard fully done, welded up, cleaned up as best as I can be bothered. I'm pretty happy with how that looks, to be fair. I think next step, I'm going to be working on the headband, which I've started getting into shape here. I just need to measure it up on myself and get it to the rough size and shape I need. Okay, that's quite a bit short. Reckon that's about right. Typical, run out of wire. Alright, take two. I feel like we are really starting to make some progress now. Right, I've taken the eyes back out for the moment because I don't want to damage the paintwork through either just spatter or mess or heat. It's time to start thinking about filling in this gap for the hairline. Now, somewhere around here, I've got some rebar, which I figure would be quite nice as a bit of a texture for the hair. So I think I'm going to make it out of that. Not overly sure how I feel about the rebar. It's very tricky to shape, and I don't know if I like having the gaps between them. Something to think about here. So I've carried on with the rebar idea, and I think actually I'm coming round to it. Seems to suit the overall design fairly okay. I'm going to do it all messy and asymmetrical, so it doesn't need to be perfect. I want it to look organic, a bit like the beard. But one thing is for sure, I'm going to need to get some more rebar, because what you see there is a meter's worth. And I only bought 2, so I'm probably going to need about 4 or 5 of them just to do this. I still haven't welded on this yet, I just like to put it all together and see how it looks. Well guys, it's pretty late. This is as far as I've got. What you can see there is 2 meters worth of rebar, and I have run out. So I'll nip to the shop tomorrow, pick up some more, and carry on filling in the gaps. I reckon probably another 2 meters would be enough, but I'll probably buy 4 just on the safe side, at least then I've got spare. But yeah, I got to admit, I'm coming round to how it's looking. I know it looks very rough along the edges here, and I might sort of smooth them off with the angle grinder afterwards, but at the same time, I kind of like the fact it's just rough looking. Gives it a more sort of genuine feel, if that makes sense. I've also started on finishing up the respirator. As you can see, I've welded on these 2 little end pieces of pipe. I just had to extend it slightly before I put in the 45-degree bends, followed by another 45-degree bends to make it run at a 90-degree angle. This should hopefully be a fairly quick and easy job, so I want to get the hair out of the way first, and I might finish this up in part 3. Yup, there's gonna be a part 3. Well guys, I think I'm going to be leaving the video there for today. If you like what you see, if you would consider liking and subscribing, because believe it or not, that does help me out. I've also got an Instagram, PJT Forging, you can check out, where I'm posting quite frequent updates of the project. But yeah, that's it for part 2, and I'll hopefully catch you on part 3, where we are going to be finishing this thing. With any luck. Take it easy guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Just until he's got his respirator fitted.